Hello, everyone, and welcome to the final session of the Community Initiatives Program Project-Based Grant Workshop. My name is Angie Schreiner, and I am a Community Grants Advisor with the Ministry of Culture and Status of Women, and I will be leading you through today's presentation. Joining me today is Maida Finley and Michelle Turnbull, who will be manning the chat box and answering any general questions you might have. To recap the last few days, on Monday, Maida provided you with an overview of the Community Initiatives Program Project-Based Program, and yesterday, Michelle walked you through the application form. Today's presentation will discuss the importance of an accurately completed project budget, and then we will walk through how to complete the project budget template. At this time, I'd like to take a moment to recognize that this is the homeland of many diverse people in Alberta, including First Nations and Métis, whose ancestors have walked this land since time immemorial. We're grateful to work, live, and learn on this traditional territory that includes Treaties 6, 7, and 8. We don't have a break scheduled for today, so if at any point you need to take one, please feel free. We will be posting these sessions on the CIP webpage. During the presentation, your videos will be turned off and your microphones will be muted. So if you have any questions, please use the chat box and our team will monitor the incoming questions and respond during the second portion of our session, which is the question and answer segment. If we run out of time and are not able to address your questions, please contact our office to follow up. We can be reached at 1-800-642-3855. This number will be posted at the end of the slideshow. Please tell us which organization you are representing today by renaming yourself in the participants list for us. To find the list, click the participants button in the main menu bar of Zoom. It will be located at the bottom of your Zoom window. Please rename yourselves by hovering your mouse over your name in the participants list, clicking the More button, clicking Rename, enter your name and organization, click the OK button. Let's begin our dive into the important, yet sometimes confusing world of a project budget. So just exactly what is a project budget and why does my organization need to complete one? In short, a project budget is the financial picture that supports the story you described in your grant application. A clear and well-written project budget helps to set realistic expectations for you, the applicant, and provides us, the funder, with important details such as how much the project is going to cost you, how much money your organization will be required to contribute to the project. It details other monetary or non-monetary donations being contributed by other resources, such as individuals or businesses. It tells the funder how much money the applicant is requesting, and last but certainly not least, it tells the funder what the applicant intends to spend the money on and provides the funder with detailed information that allows us to ensure the costs you are requesting funding for are eligible under the program you are applying to. Taking the time to research the financial requirements of your project establishes credibility with the funder and can help the organization to avoid unpleasant surprises. Organizations who do not take the time to research and understand what their project is going to cost them often end up facing a variety of issues such as sticker shock. It is never a good idea to guesstimate what your project is going to cost you. Obtaining quotes from the professionals or reliable resources will help to ensure your organization has a reasonable understanding of what the financial commitment will be. A real-life example that happened to one of our organizations is this. A group wanted to hire a program coordinator for their new youth program. The organization guesstimated that they could hire someone full-time for approximately $40,000 per year. Once they began the recruitment process, they were shocked to discover that qualified candidates were turning down their offer of employment due to the salary range being much lower than what the position and job duties were actually worth. This resulted in three things. The program was never launched, the organization had to return the grant, and they then became a high risk to the program area. It is important to note that in some instances, once funding is returned to the program area, it cannot be reallocated to another organization and the money goes into general revenue. An incomplete or poorly written project budget can also result in returned applications. Our area processes approximately 400 applications each intake. This volume does not always afford staff the time to try and understand the financial details of your project. This may result in your application being returned to you as incomplete. By starting the application process and budget well before the deadline, you are giving your organization the best chance for success. During the review process, program staff will review your application and project budget to determine if you have an eligible, viable project and the financial means in place to complete the project. We specifically look to see that the applicant has the capacity or access to appropriate resources to undertake the project, demonstrated sufficient matching resources, access to additional funding reserves to complete the project, and are able to meet new or increased operational requirements if applicable. When you are ready to begin, download the budget template from our website and save it to your desktop. You can complete the template when time permits. Simply save your changes, close the document, and reopen when you are ready to resume. Remember, the maximum eligible grant request from CIP project-based is $75,000. Multiple projects are not eligible. This means you cannot submit an application to host an event and start up a new program. It would need to be one or the other. Applicants are required to contribute a minimum of 50% of the total project cost. Matching contributions may be in the form of cash, eligible donations, or a combination of both. The project template consists of 5 parts: project funding details, anticipated project expenses, donated labor, donated equipment, donated materials or services. For the purposes of this presentation, we will not be using section D. We recommend that you start with sections A, B, C, and D first. We will start by calculating what your paid costs will be. Think of this section as your out-of-pocket expenses. This is section A of the budget template. Use the quotes you obtained to complete this section. Quotes should not be more than 1 year old and be on business letterhead. You can include any GST if it is applicable. In this example, the applicant would like to start up an after-school sports program for high-risk youth. The research the organization conducted shows that they will need to hire a new sport coach, administrative assistant, and will also need a facility to do the program from for the next 20 weeks. The organization developed a job description that described the responsibilities for each position and were able to determine an appropriate salary for each position using appropriate resources such as alice.alberta. Alice is a government website that can help you plan your project by providing information on occupation salaries. The organization then obtained a quote from the local recreational facility to use for the next 20 weeks. All of these costs are then entered into the anticipated project expenses section. As you can see, the organization will be required to pay $27,000 out of pocket to run this program for 20 weeks. Once you've entered all of your paid costs, you can move to the next section of the budget template and start listing your donated labor contributions into section B of the budget template if they're applicable. In some instances, Organizations have access to volunteers to help them complete their project. CIP allows organizations to utilize these services to help them with their matching requirement. CIP has specific hourly rates for unskilled labor for $20 an hour, skilled labor for $35 an hour. This information is outlined in the program guidelines. Applicants must keep a volunteer sign-in sheet. You may be asked to provide this document at a later date to help you with your accounting. Donated labor contributions must be confirmed in writing by the donor and on company letterhead if it is a business, and it must be included with your application. It's important to note, donated labor is exactly that. It is donated. This means that the labor being provided toward the project is at no cost to you, the applicant. In this example, the organization feels that the youth would benefit by having a mentor on hand to help establish positive relationships with the participants. They approached a youth services organization who offered to provide them with one of their staff at no charge for the duration of the program. The hours being provided by the mentor is directly related to the project, and as a result, these hours could be included in their overall project. The service organization provided the applicant with a letter on company letterhead confirming that one employee will attend the 4-hour sessions at $20 an hour, 5 days per week for the next 20 weeks. They valued this contribution to be a total of $8,000. In this example, the organization has secured $8,000 in donated labor services toward their match. Once you have entered all of your donated labor into Section B, you can move on to Sections C and D of the budget to start listing your donated equipment and/or materials or services if applicable. For the purposes of this example, there were no equipment or material donations. Now that you have calculated all of your paid costs in Section A, donated labor in Section B, it is time to add it all up to determine what your total project cost is. In this example, we can see that Section A plus Section B totaled $35,000. This is the total amount of what your project will cost you to complete. If you can, try to remember this amount for the next 2 slides. Now we need to calculate how much you are eligible to request from CIP. As discussed earlier, organizations are eligible to request a maximum of 50% of their total project cost to a maximum of $75,000 under the project-based funding stream. In this example, the organization is eligible to request $17,500 and will need to contribute $17,500 toward the project. This information will need to be added to the project funding detail section of the budget template. This information will be added to the project funding detail section of the budget template, which is our next slide. The project funding details is the last section you will need to complete on the project budget template. This section shows the applicant and the funder how much money is being requested, the sources of the applicant's revenues, how much is being donated, and what the total cost of the project is. In slide 12, you will remember that the total cost of the project was $35,000. In slide 13, we calculated the eligible grant request by dividing 35,000 by 2. This gave us an eligible grant request of $17,500. We would add the $17,500 in the CIP project-based funding grant request row. Now we need to show the details of what you, the organization, will be contributing toward the project. In this example, we know that they have $8,000 in donated labor and will need to then contribute $9,500 in cash toward this project. Once you've added up all of your revenue sources, you will need to check the total of project funding row at the bottom of the table. The amount you see here must match the amount you calculated when you added sections A, B, and C together to get the total project cost. If it does not match, there is a math error somewhere and you may need to go back to review the amounts you entered into sections A, B, and C. On this example, you will also see confirmed amount and pending columns. If your funding is in place, you would enter your amounts into the confirmed column. If you are still waiting for confirmation that the money is coming, you would need to put this amount in as pending. If your matching funds are pending, we would highly recommend that you provide us with a time frame as to when you will know if you have the money in place. Organizations with pending matching funds are evaluated at a lower priority. In this example, the organization has indicated that the $9,500 cash contribution they are required to make is confirmed. When the organization submitted their bank statement and financial statements, the grant reviewer was able to verify this money is available. If the organization was receiving this money from other funding sources, they would need to include a letter from the external donor confirming they are providing the monetary contribution toward this project with their application submission. Federal and municipal funding are not considered other provincial funding and can be used to match a CIP project-based grant request. Organizations who have received provincial funding for the same project must identify this on the project budget. Your CIP grant request may need to be adjusted accordingly so as not to exceed the maximum 50% total government funding received. Congratulations, you've completed all sections of the budget. This slide will show you how all of the sections come together. Now is a good time to review all of your numbers. Do not be afraid to have someone double check the information. Does it look reasonable? Is it easy to understand? Is it accurate? Is your organization ready to take on this project, or do you need more time to fundraise? Have your donors provided you with written confirmation of their contributions? Will you still be able to complete this project if you do not receive the full funding request from CIP? Do the two yellow highlighted areas match, or are they different? If you can answer yes to all of the above, may I suggest that you take a few minutes then to sit back and enjoy your masterpiece. Once you are done admiring your work, you can move on. You are almost ready to submit your proposal. Before you click that submit button, use the embedded checklist located at the back of the application form to ensure that you have included all required documentation. Incomplete applications may be canceled and returned back to the applicant. CIP has moved to the electronic funds transfer process, or EFT. EFT is the standard process the Government of Alberta uses to provide funds in a secure and timely manner. Please be sure to complete the application for direct deposit section, which can be accessed from our website. This concludes our presentation. For the remaining allotted time, we will be happy to answer any questions you might have. We will first start with the questions that have popped up in the chat box, and if there is time remaining, we will unmute your microphones and answer any live questions you may have. We would like you to keep in mind that if you have specific questions regarding your project, please contact our office and speak to somebody directly. If we do not get to your question, please feel free to call the toll-free number and someone will be able to assist you with your inquiries.